right. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Jason Flame, host of the Master Motivation Podcast. And today we got a power couple with us today, guys. So let me introduce them to the show. We have Bret and Katie Hamlin, who are a married couple from Sturgis, Michigan. Martial arts has been a part of their lives for almost 2 decades, and they took ownership of a martial arts academy about 8 years ago, growing it into a successful business, currently employing 9 people. They have also started a commercial real estate company. And in addition to their business endeavors, Katie is a board member of the Sturgis Historical Society, while Bret serves as the president of the Sturgis Area Chamber of Commerce. They live with their German Shepherd Katana and enjoy traveling for martial arts training and adventure. Guys, thank you for taking the time to be on the show with me today. Welcome.
Yes, sir. Happy to be here.
Yes, our pleasure.
So it's exciting, right? Because we have a history going back several years. We were just talking pre-show. A lot of things that I remember when you guys were kind of first getting started with your business and really taking it to the next level. So I'm excited to share your story, and I think it's going to be not only informative, but I think inspirational, motivational for people watching, whether you're in the martial arts industry or any other industry. I think that you have a lot to gain from watching today. So please, if you're watching live, let us know that you're here and drop some comments. Would love to hear from you guys and what you have to say. But let's just kind of start with a brief, deeper introduction. So Katie, I would love you to tell everybody a little bit more about yourself before we get rolling.
So I've grown up small town all my life, and I was an only child growing up. So my parents, they got it right with me, and then they stopped, right? So I'm an only child, and grew up just kind of, not super. I was pretty shy, pretty quiet. Got started with cross country in high school. I was really big into running in high school, and that kind of really taught me the work ethic and the hard work pays off thing. So that kind of really was a formative thing for me. And met this guy my senior year of high school, and kind of history from there.
High school sweethearts. That's pretty cool. Well, Bret, why don't you take a minute? Give us a little bit more about yourself.
Sure. I grew up right here in Sturgis. Went to school here in Sturgis as well. And my parents started and owned the Harley Davidson motorcycle dealership here in Sturgis, Michigan. So I got to grow up in a family business, a small business, and a Harley Davidson motorcycle shop, which is a super cool place to be. And when I met Katie, I was challenged in some ways. Katie's yin to my yang, and she's been inspirational to me and helped me grow. And I think we're a pretty powerful team.
Challenging in a good way, hopefully, most of the time.
Yeah. I was wondering where we might go with that challenging part of it. Yeah. Well, when we all first met, and Bret, when I learned about you working at a Harley shop, growing up, my dad grew up in the 60s and 70s, and he and his friends all that's all they did. They rode bikes, and he always, his parents probably loved this, but I saw pictures. My mom would tell me about it later on in life, that my dad would literally bring his Harley into the living room and pull it apart and, put it back together, and, in the living room. I mean, where else would you do it? Not the garage, not outside, just bring it inside. I look back at some pictures. My dad had the long hair, had the whole bit. So they grew up in that area where that was super cool. So I grew up thinking dude, Harleys were the coolest thing on earth. I still think that they're awesome. I prefer them to the crotch rockets, although there's some cool parts to that too. But sure. Pretty interesting to grow up with that background, and then take what you've learned from that small business mentality of being in a family business, and now owning and operating, your own small business. So before we talk about running the business and some lessons you've learned there, let's talk about, martial arts. How did you guys get into martial arts? Bret, why don't we start with you first?
Sure. Actually, I've always wanted to do martial arts since I was a little kid. Like a lot of people who are in martial arts today, it was Karate Kid, it was Ninja Turtles, It was Jean-Claude Van Damme. You know, it was all those movies and shows that I was obsessed with. I wanted to do martial arts so bad forever. Didn't get around to it as a kid, but started as a young adult about 20 years ago. And it was actually a friend of mine who had started. And he's like, man, this is awesome. You need to come and try it. So he brought me in one day and I tried it. And now I live there. It was, you know, it was just awesome. I loved all the parts of it, you know, as a white belt, not knowing anything and like, okay, here we go. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to try and just growing into it and becoming like really just having it start to get ingrained into who I am and become a part of my identity. And that was really neat. And then, you know, one day it stopped being about me and became more about other people on the mat that I could help. And then here I am. Now it's about all those people as students, and it's about also now our staff, our employees, and what we can do for them, what opportunities we can give them. But, you know, I was addicted as a kid, even though I wasn't officially trained. And once it became official, it's just part of who I am.
Yeah, you know, I love when I talk to different guests about how they got involved in martial arts. You know, some people will go back and talk to me about, you know, Bruce Lee, and then some will talk about Karate Kid or the Ninja Turtles or the Power Rangers or whatever it might be. But it's always kind of like something, you know, I was drawn to professional wrestling very early as a child. And I always kind of like professional wrestling and martial arts, you know, kind of went hand in hand for me. I was fortunate. I started at 10 years old. My mom put me in martial arts at a rec center, and you know, she wanted to do martial arts when she was a kid, but her parents wouldn't let her. They're like, girls don't do martial arts. And Katie's hearing that going, what are you talking about? That's like the furthest thing from the truth, right? But that was her deal, was that, you know, she said, when I have children, I want to make sure that I put them into martial arts. And that's, you know, really the whole reason that I got into martial arts. Real quick, before we go on, I want to say hello to Juanita Cap. Thank you for always watching. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for commenting. Juanita has a lot of great things going on. She's got a great Meticulous Moments podcast as well, which you guys will probably see more about. But I think we have someone else on here that you guys may know.
Oh, hi, Mom.
So we got your mom watching. So now we'll know if the stories are true, because she's going to comment and let us know if we're getting off base here. So Bret, you wanted to do martial arts as a kid, but you didn't start until much later. What was the actual, you know, defining moment, if you will? Like what was the spark? You said you had a friend that did it.
Yeah, so I had a really close friend. I'll call him out, Aaron Norris. He currently is a chef now. He's in the crazy.
Not the Aaron Norris. Not Chuck Norris.
Same name. Okay. Cool guy. Yeah, he's one of my best friends. And he was a yellow belt, and he was like, you got to come try this, man. So he pulled me in. Actually, he had keys to the place, so it was just he and I that went in, and it was awesome because he's like, okay, we're gonna spar. And I was like, okay, sure, you know, and I'm in my jeans and Harley Davidson t-shirt, and he's in his uniform, and we just start punching and kicking each other, and it was awesome. I'm like, yeah, I want to do this.
Yep.
You know, I grew up working at my instructor's martial arts school, and I had a key, and it was, you know, we would do the same thing. We would bring friends in, and let's just throw on the gear, turn on the music. Let's, you know, kind of introduce them to what we did. And it just, you know, it's so fun doing that though. Like, and I had younger brothers. How about you guys? So Katie, you're an only child. Bret, brothers, sisters?
Yeah, I have 3 brothers, 2 older brothers, 1 younger brother.
So you probably introduced them to martial arts just by showing them the stuff you learned and letting them be the test dummy, right?
Yep. And, you know, my younger brother joined. He's a black belt too.
Yep. And your mom,
my mom joined. She's
both
a black
of my
belt.
parents joined.
They're
it's
both
like
black belts.
Far-reaching
influence
that happened just from him stepping in there that one day.
Yep.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So now, Katie, were you sucked into martial arts because of Bret, or
I was. So that was never something as a young person that I had any interest in. It was just, you know, it was there, and I didn't, I think I liked Power Rangers as a kid. I thought that was awesome, but it never went anywhere beyond that. So, but for me, it was like, I was a teenager when I met Bret, and he, just you're growing up, you're coming of age, and like your kind of world just opens up. You're going to be graduating high school, and like with him with the motorcycle shop, he introduced me to that whole new world, which, my parents, they were totally good, right? It was amazing. My parents both loved motorcycles. They loved him because he was great. He was like the dream first date, boyfriend for their daughter. He's pretty great. So I think my mom and dad can testify to that, but I hope. But he kind of opened up my world to more. I ended up working at the motorcycle shop along with him. I was this quiet, shy, like didn't know anything hardly about motorcycles, and they gave me a chance and gave me a job to just kind of help out during the summer, and it totally changed my world. Whole new people that you're interacting with people in general. I was pretty quiet and shy, and and that kind of was a thing just throughout my life. Is I would see people experiencing things like motorcycles that's new, or running, or just flying. I got into working on my private pilot's license when I was a teenager as well, and just seeing people do things that, wow, that looks really like an amazing experience. I want to do it too. And my parents were wonderful with encouraging me to do anything. I can do anything that I want. If I put my mind to it, and it's riding a motorcycle. I learned how to ride a motorcycle on a 80cc Honda CR80 dirt bike that they had in the yard, and they taught me how to do that. My parents are supportive. I learned how to fly a plane, and it was the same with martial arts. I saw him doing that, and I was like, I want to do that too. So here I am.
Now, did you train under Bret, or did you train with Bret when you started?
Little bit of pretty much under. I think we kind of started at the same time. I went at a pretty slow, kind of in and out pace at first, but it was under for the most part. Like it's complicated.
That opens the door to a very complicated topic,
right?
Mr. Flame.
Right. Well, I introduced my wife to martial arts. She trained at the same school that I taught at. It wasn't my school yet. That's not how we met. And I know that's you guys met in high school. You didn't meet in the karate school, correct?
Correct.
Right. So, it is an interesting topic for a couple of reasons. I mean, number one, like, what was it like when you guys had to, partner up or spar together, or, you had to take instruction from Bret? How was that?
There it is. That's the complicated part.
Yeah.
I think I did a good job, like, in front of people.
Publicly, very smooth.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, honestly, it's been pretty good. There were some times when it was challenging.
We both have pretty intense personalities, I would say. So,
True.
It's no different than anything else. I think we're passionate people. So,
but it's unique because on the mat, it was always I'm the instructor and she's the student. And that's a little complicated because that's not how we are in life. We are both. And it's, it complicates things, but any good instructor should see students as their instructors as well. I've learned so much about martial arts from Katie, despite that I've been in it longer. Technically, I was her instructor. I don't know that I would still say I'm your instructor. I don't know, because we just both learn from each other, and that's what it's always been.
Yeah,
on the mat or off.
Yeah, I think outside of martial arts, for sure, it's like we're both coachable in the sense that we want to learn whatever we need to learn from whomever, Oh, nice. Miss Cap, you learned on a YZ250. My first bike was a Kawasaki EX250 Ninja. So that's awesome.
Similar.
Perfect. Yeah.
I think the first thing I ever rode was a Honda 200X 3-wheeler. We did a lot of riding in the Pismo Beach here in California.
Sure.
Glamis, went to Glamis a lot as we got a little bit older, but we all learned on something, right? But as far as that relationship, I know that it's grown over the years. It's changed, right? I mean, it's definitely changed, where you kind of had to be the instructor and Katie was the student, but now you guys are partners, not only in business, but in life. And
Equal,
so,
for sure.
What I know about you and what I can appreciate, because I have this same thing with my wife as my partner in business. And, my wife does so many things so much better than I can do it. And there are so many things that I can do that
Yeah.
that she really doesn't, maybe she doesn't want to do. And we just complement each other so well. And I've noticed that from the very beginning with you guys is you complement each other so well that it just works. But we all know that there are a lot of not only martial arts school owners, but just business owners in general, that when you're working with your spouse or your significant other, that's a challenge, because what happens at work comes home. What happens at home comes to work. Like there's really no division, right? So talk about how you guys kind of balance that, how you guys work through some of the challenges.
So yeah, for us, it really started to be kind of a game changer when we brought staff, like team members, on board. It's like, okay, this is really another milestone where we're kind of, we're responsible for providing an excellent workplace for these people and development opportunities and career opportunities. And we've got to make sure that we do the best that we can by them. And something else for me that's helped is we, just a natural evolution of taking over our school just as a hobby school back when we first started, and then to now just professionalizing everything. So we have a really nice cadence of communication. Basically, it's all about communication when it's a strategic time. So it's not like, and we're still guilty of this, where we come home and it's like we're talking about the business and what's going on with that. But we try to compartmentalize it and do, it's an owners meeting that we have, or the two owners of the business, and we meet every Friday at 10 a.m. to discuss everything that we need to then disseminate to the team that we're responsible for helping. And just really keeping it separate like that, is at least trying to, is really helpful for us. And then that gives us a chance.
Trying to is the key.
That gives us a chance to kind of put on our business partner hat and communicate differently than we would as a husband and wife.
Yeah, for me, some of the big important stuff is, Katie mentioned earlier that we both have intense personalities. It's very true. And in my brain, I know that I'm right. My way is the right way to do it. That's what it's always been. I've gotten this success, or I accomplished that because I'm right. And it's not necessarily the only way to do it, Bret. So there's been some learning for me to become more coachable, or at least more receptive to maybe my way is not the only way. I'm not going to speak for Katie, but I think it might be similar. The experience might be similar over there too.
Yep, I'll admit that.
And so that's been a really big area of growth for me, for us as a team, is both of us being able to say, okay, hang on, let's stop for a second. Maybe my way isn't the only way. And maybe I should listen to Katie's thoughts about this. So that's one side of it for me. Another side of it is we've really worked at dividing the business up to our specialties and playing to our strengths. Like you mentioned, the whole complementing each other thing, we complement each other really well. Where I'm weak, or in areas where I struggle, Katie thrives and she's awesome. And in things that I just really don't want to do, I don't like doing this part of this business, Katie, I don't know how or why, but she enjoys it. But the same is true in reverse.
Yes.
A lot of the things that Katie's maybe not great at, or doesn't have this as a strength, or doesn't like, I probably love doing it. So we're realizing that more and more, and down into some more details of the business of all those things that I like, let me take them. And those things that I don't like, maybe Katie would enjoy taking them. So as we divide that, then as we start discussions, if we have a little bit of a conflict over how we might do this, I might just say, Katie, you know what? That's your realm. That's your specialty. Let's just go your way. It's okay. So that learning to relent and learning to just accept that you know what, maybe I don't need to make the call on this.
Right.
That helps too, but dividing and conquering is powerful for us, and that compartmentalizing that Katie was talking about too. I'm going to say that we're not great at that yet.
Yeah, it's always
We always talk business, always.
Yeah. Well, the thing that most people won't understand unless they're in this business, unless they're in this industry, is that martial arts is not just our business. Martial arts is our lifestyle. Martial arts is a very big part of what makes us who we are, the people that we are. And so, you can't help but, when you have so much passion about training or teaching or a student or a family or an event you just had, I mean, it's hard not to talk about it, right? And I mean, you said earlier, communication is really the key. Communication in any relationship, whether it's a married couple, a owner operator and their staff, their instructors, with parents that have children, teachers, communication, everything relies on strong communication. And so if we have that open line of communication, whether we're right or we're wrong, or this way is the best way or that way is the best way, as long as we can talk about it, talk through it. And you're right, Bret. I mean, there's definitely been some times for myself where I thought that I knew better, or I want it a certain way, but you know what? That's not my area, right? When it comes to, my wife is really good with, even though she doesn't really love marketing, but she's really good at creating products for our school, leggings, shirts, hats. I mean, she made these like cool, they're called gibbets, right? For Crocs. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, okay.
Yes, okay. Cool. I never heard the name.
I didn't either. Because I'm like, first of all, I don't wear Crocs. I would never wear Crocs. But a lot of people are wearing Crocs, and she's like, they're so cool. The kids will love them, blah, blah. And I was just like, this is so dumb. And I'm like, hold on, step back, just let it go, let it be. And they're a hit, right? She does some color schemes on things, and I'm just like, I would never wear that. Well, who cares? It's not about me. Yes. It's about, she knows that other people are going to wear it, So she's got this area of, all these different things that all these ideas that she comes up with, which are marketing, although she doesn't really love marketing. I love marketing. I love putting stuff out there about our business, but this is her way of contributing there. And also just the culture of our school, how she brings people together, and how we have our black belt test coming up. And sometimes, I'm the guy looking at the bill going, why are we spending this much money on this? And then just wait, you'll see. And then like the response from everybody is like, oh my God, this is amazing. Yeah. And I'm like, just shut up and just let her do her thing. Right. So Bret, you're right. Just shut up. Yep. Let her do her thing. Right. I think we've all learned that by now. Hey, let's go back a little bit. Let's back up. So when I first started working with you guys, you were a part-time instructor, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yeah, true.
Right. So you were not even full-time into the business. So you had a career, working at the career job, working at the bike shop. Talk about what made you jump off and go out and be your own boss and start your own business.
So this was back in June of 2015 is when we first took over the school, and it was a hobby school. It was small, not a lot of students, and just was really basic in the offerings. But when we took over, we have passion in anything that we're doing, and if we do anything, we go all in. And hey, this could be made better, and hey, what if we offered this now, and what if we improve this and fix up the building and invest in it? And we took over this business that frankly cost us money to own, because we kept just putting money in to make the experience better for everybody who was involved. Well, it grew to a point where I was working. Actually, at the time, I was not working at the motorcycle shop. My parents had sold it and retired, and I was working at another place here in town that was, frankly, it was a really great job. I had a lot of opportunities there. It was great compensation. It was really hard and stressful job, but it was a great job. And I have no real big complaints about it. But the academy kept growing. And it's just, I attribute that to all the work that we put in, all the effort that we put into making the experience better. And it got to a point where I was like working 2 jobs, and this was getting hard. And our classes were packed, and we sat down, Katie and I sat down. It's like, all right, where can we add more classes to spread this out? Because we don't have any space in some of these classes. And I'm looking at that.
It's a great problem, right?
Yeah, it is. But we're looking at the schedule, and I'm just like, dude, I'm already doing like 6:30 a.m. to like 9:30 p.m. every day. This is I'm getting wore out.
We reached a turning point that year.
Yeah. So at that time, it was what went through my mind was I got to give something up here. I either got to give up this or that, and I'm never giving up martial arts. So we got to figure out a way that I can quit my job.
And for me, it was like I knew how passionate he was, and that I was, and we still are. And it was gonna come down to we were gonna regret it if we didn't try.
Yes.
So we had to give it a try.
And Katie, what were you doing at that time when we started to make that transition? Because I don't know that we've talked a whole lot about that.
Yeah. So I was doing just some freelance writing at the time. So I was contracted out to write, press releases and some white papers, and some it was good. It was a skill set that I got to work on, and I enjoyed the work. But yeah, just doing some of that, and then I got busy enough to not have to not be able to do it anymore.
Yeah,
so
where she kind of stopped doing most of that, and she was almost full time with the academy when we started talking about this. And it's like, oh, so both of us would mostly be doing this.
I needed help.
Yeah, she needed help.
And now you guys came into the Maya program. What year was that?
That was in 2018. So yeah, we were talking to a couple of people at Maya, and we got introduced to you, and I believe it was June of 2018 we joined, and we had already made plans to go on another trip, so we didn't make it to the martial arts super show that year, unfortunately, but it was and then we joined in that year, June of 2018. So it was 3 years after we had started the school, and then a lot changed from there. You were our first consultant and our first business mentor, and you totally changed our world.
For sure.
Well, I'm really proud to hear that. That makes me happy, because it's just like being an instructor that helps a student, earn their first belt or earn their black belt, right? But a lot of people go through life, go through business, go through the challenges that they're having, and never ask for help, never search out a mentor or a coach. What made you look for someone to help you?
I want to take this. I want to take this one. So there's going to be a phrase at the end of this that I'm going to bring up. It was all Katie. I had the mindset of, I have the strength, we have the power, we'll make this work, we'll figure it out. I grew up in family business. I can figure this out. I'll fight through it.
We don't need help.
Grit. I've got tenacity. We don't need any help. And Katie's over here like, maybe we should talk to some people who've done this before. I'm like, no, we don't need it. So I don't know if I ever told you that, but that's how that went. Katie's like, I think we should at least let's at least talk to these guys and see, because I think they can help us do this faster. And that was the key. I was like, okay, my ego would allow the fact, okay, maybe we could get it done fast. I could still figure this out. But, so I've let go of the ego a little bit more. And Katie talked me into it, and we got on the phone with Maya, and then ended up on the phone with you. And you shared, you're like, all right, here's the plan. This is what we're going to work on. This, boom, boom, boom. And here's how it's going to look. And I was like, yeah, I think Katie was right. That guy's really smart, and he knows exactly how he's going to get us from here to here. And this is where we want to be. So yeah, it was all Katie. And that's when I started figuring out that in this dynamic duo, she's the brains, I'm the mouth. Let's go.
Well, I may not have ever shared this with you, but I was of that same mindset early on, before I started taking on Mr. Metzger as my coach,
Hmm.
I had already been in business for just over 10 years.
Oh, wow.
But what had frustrated me was that, like, I was trying everything. I was doing everything, and I was at a certain level, and I knew that I could go higher, but it felt like the harder I worked, the more I was just kind of like spinning my wheels, like I was just a tire spinning in mud. I'm not going anywhere. And when I talked to Mr. Metzger, what really did it for me is when he started doing we're going to start here, 2, 3, 4, boom, and going down. And this is what you will see change, because isn't this what we do with martial arts? When you're a white belt, you're going to learn this. When you're a yellow belt, you're going to get a little bit more confident and you're going to learn this. And when you're the next belt, right? And there's a system. See, what I did not have as a business owner was I didn't have systems. I had my way and I thought it was great, but it wasn't getting me to the level of success that I knew I was capable of. I knew that I was capable of it. And I, just like you, Bret, I'm going to fight through this. I can fight. I won't give up. But, at some point, you do get a little tired and you're like, what do I need to do next? Right. So it was a really big eye opener too, listening to stats, just numbers don't lie. Here, take a look at this. He asked me a couple questions. How many students do you have? What's your average gross? Divide that. If it's not this number or better, you're missing something. And I looked at my number and I said, yeah, I'm missing something. He said, okay. Then he took me through and he said, if you were doing A, B, C, D, E, and you put it all together, here's what your month could look like. And I was like, oh, I like that. Right.
Yeah.
And so I probably did that with you, because that was such a major switch in my mind that, like, I had all the right ingredients, right? But maybe not enough of one or enough of the other. So it wasn't quite coming out right. But I remember doing that with so many new clients, and the same thing. It was just like the light bulb goes off. Whoa. Okay. Five profit centers, looking for a student value of X. This is how you get there. And then there's all the other stuff in between, of course. Right. So,
some of the biggest stuff for me is all of these systems and everything. This is how to run the business, but it's also how to provide the most elite, amazing, incredible experience and get the best results out of your students so they accomplish more. So, like, this was such a game changer for us.
You said that word. I've counted almost 10 times the word experience. And I think that is such an important word to think about when a student starts martial arts, right? Like, I mean, think about it. When you go to Disneyland or Disney World, like, that's an experience, right? When you go to a professional basketball game or a baseball game, you have an experience when you go, right? And none of it is by accident. It's all by design. So this is a word that I like to talk a lot about in our school as well, is creating that experience, that martial arts experience, the customer experience or the customer journey, right? Tell me what that means to you when you're talking about the experience. You want to make the experience better. What does that mean?
Well, for me, growing up in the Harley Davidson motorcycle shop, that was something my dad always preached, was if you focus on giving your customer the most awesome experience from the time they walk in that door and all the way until the very end, everything else will fall into line. Your business will likely be successful. Obviously, you need systems to manage everything and all that. But as far as making your business grow and bringing people in, it's all about that experience. So that was kind of drilled into my brain from when I was a kid, from my dad. And, their business was very successful. That was my mom and dad, not giving my dad all the credit. My mom was a huge part of that too. But, I translate that over into the martial arts school, and it's got to be, as soon as they walk in the door, it is a positive, wonderful, exciting experience They get to see exactly what they'd hoped. And a big part of it is the results are also there, that it's not all fluff.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just all talk. So it's, yeah, that exciting experience that gets them where they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Martial arts is the tool to get there, whether it's getting in shape, getting stronger, getting more fit, or maybe it's getting the confidence to step up and do a better job at a job
Mm-hmm.
you and get a better position and change your life over there. Or maybe it's for your kid to do better in school so they can gain the confidence and courage to stand up to a bully, whatever it is. I want to make sure that we're providing the wonderful experience that keeps them wanting to come back and gets the results that they're looking for.
Mm-hmm. A quote comes to mind for me when I think about, this topic and, the experience, is that nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And
Yes.
so when we start really looking at it from that standpoint, it kind of changes things. When I was young, I thought if I learned these cool sales tips and techniques, I had to learn about sales, how to sell, how to, and they're definitely, that is part of any business. But
Yeah,
what
sure.
I've learned, and Robbie Beard taught me this in a seminar once. I remember him talking about, and I still can't remember, I don't know why, but in a particular language, if you translate sale, it translates to serve, right? And so when we are focused on serving our students and our families, it becomes a different experience altogether. I mean, it's the little things from, like you said, when they walk in the door. How do they feel when they walk in the door? Are we doing things intentionally that make them feel welcome, comfortable, part of a team, right? When they first start taking classes, I mean, things that are really simple and small, sending out good job notes, right? I mean, we
Mhm.
still handwrite and send out good job notes, along with maybe a video, maybe a phone call, but really just taking a genuine interest in people, right? I think that changes the experience as well, right? So, Katie, what are your thoughts? I know, because I ask you, because I always say that my wife is literally the heart and soul of our school. I'm the mouthpiece. I'm the muscle, right? I'm that guy, right? But my wife has always been the nurturing. And I think that's, in her case, kind of that motherly feature that she has, because our kids started in our martial arts program. We learned a lot about how to teach martial arts to kids through our kids. But
Mhm.
what does that mean to you when we're talking about this?
So for me, there's a couple of things with that. It's been just our journey from one, just the two of us owning and running and operating the school with like a couple of volunteers, that has evolved into our focus on developing our team to empower them to also help make this experience amazing for our students and their families as well. And just like we work really hard to make sure we have that atmosphere, that family like, that great atmosphere with our staff, because that's going to bleed out to everybody for them to feel like they're welcome anytime, and this is the positive place to come and go no matter what's going on. And that's one of our team core values, even, is you leave the bad stuff at the door. When you come in that door, this is your place to shine and be recognized and to thrive and to grow. And that it's just been really cool to see our staff like grow into feeling so empowered by, and just like they get a high off of making these kids and these adult students like feel empowered and feel confident and feel more fit. We look for ways to share with our team. We all share with each other how it's impacted for them, because the impact is huge for our staff.
Mhm.
I know that. And knowing that they're making that impact. And I know we do the good job calls, right? And sometimes we'll leave a voicemail, and this young student will listen to that voicemail with these specific words of praise of how this kid did really well in class. They'll listen to that voicemail 10 times over the weekend or over the evening. And
Mhm.
just to know that they're making that kind of impact, and to know that like we're helping them, like helping our staff feel good about that and the impact that they're making, helping our students feel good about the work that they're doing, because it's work. It takes discipline to show up all the time, and we want to
Mhm.
make sure that's rewarded. And just personally, my role as a business owner has just evolved so much into caring for, it's like, yeah, I'm not a mom, but I feel like the caregiver type motherly role with trying to make sure everything's okay and everybody's okay. Cause that's so important to me. And that's become more important to me than I ever thought it would. And that's been really fun.
Yeah, isn't it awesome? You guys have been doing this for a little while, right? And you've brought up people within your school, your team, and to watch that, younger, more quiet, kind of shy student
Yes.
blossom into this confident, strong, capable instructor that can lead a class. I mean, I've watched it several times to the point where now my son finally, after all these years, he's 18 now. I tried from the time he was, I don't know, probably 10. Hey, you want to teach class? No, Dad. Ask him next year. Hey, you want to help teach class? No. I like to train. I don't like to teach. And finally he's getting ready to test for his 4th degree in 2 weeks. We're testing together actually. And he says, and so he starts teaching now though, and he's kind of getting into it. And he told me the other day, he's all, Dad, it was so cool. I was teaching this kid this one technique, and his eyes just lit up, and it was like this bomb went off or a light bulb went on, and he's like, it was the most amazing thing. I'm like, yeah, that's what I've been trying to tell you since you were 10 years old. That this is,
nothing like it.
And then he gets a parent that comes up to him and says, hey, I really love how you kind of get down and you talk with the kids. And he was like, he was totally blown away. I'm like, well, doesn't that make you feel so good, the impact you have? I said, and think about this, in a couple of years from now, they're still going to remember that stuff. And what I start every team meeting with, every single team meeting that we start, we go around the circle, and I ask everybody to either A, ask a question, B, provide feedback on anyone on the team or anything that you've seen over the last week, or just, give me like an experience or something that happened that you want to talk about. And they bring up all this stuff. And then what's great is it creates a conversation between the team of, well, good job for doing that. And, and then they start adding this, and I can always kind of throw in the little things about, when you were a child and you were training, you looked up to the instructors, didn't you? I said, now take a look. You're that instructor, and that student's looking at you the same way. How powerful is that? And every time, every week, it's like, whoa, it's just that it's got to be that constant reminder of that type of culture that we want to see within our school. And I love it. I love watching the young teenagers. I try to hire as many of these kids as I can at 14, because that's kind of like our legal age in California, and they can start really working. We have a leadership team. They start at 5th, 6th grade, and they kind of volunteer and help. But then when they get that job, and I look and I tell them, I'm like, you're gonna do this one day. You're gonna run the demo team. You're gonna run the satellite program. You're gonna look at our head instructor. You're gonna be taking his job one day, just so you know. And they're like, really? I'm like, well, where do you think he came from? You think he just started there? Right. So I love this process. I love watching it. Yes. So let's talk a little bit about training. You guys love to train. You guys got into the Filipino martial arts, and you guys are just all, like you said earlier, Brett, when you're into something, you're just all in, right? True. What now, before we talk about that, what was your original style of martial arts? What was the core?
Taekwondo.
Okay.
Yep. Same.
And so did you see that something was missing or something that was lacking, or you just saw something that was cool and hey, I'm going to do that?
So it started in Taekwondo, and we do a lot of striking in Taekwondo, and it's very exciting. Like the highlight for me is breaking stuff. I love breaking. It is so much fun. Mm-hmm. And then I got some exposure to Hapkido, and I thought, ooh, that looks interesting. Throwing people, joint locks, going heavy duty into that. We did some of that. We dabbled in that with Taekwondo, but to kind of master it sounds exciting. So we took on Hapkido as well. So Hapkido is our second art. And then it was like, kind of looking for just something, because we got striking, we got throwing. We're kind of missing like mastering weaponry. And I want something that's just odd. It's something that's not the traditional style, something a little different. And so then we discovered Tuhan Apollo Ladra,
Yes.
and he's incredible with a stick or a blade.
You know,
and it was like,
really quick sidebar, talking about experience, the personality and the friendliness of
yeah.
Tuhan Apollo and his group is just like wonderful. And that's
The-
what I aspire to have our school feel like, is just that
Yeah.
warm, inviting atmosphere. That was just
the
such
first
a big thing for me.
The first experience we had with him was actually the first in-person experience. We were doing his online stuff before, but first in person was years ago at the Super Show, and he did a pre-show event. And once it was in person, it was like I was family.
It's like,
immediately.
yeah, we're friends now.
Yeah, and just it was incredible, and that's the vibe that he puts off. And it's like, okay, we can learn more than just Kali from this guy and his team. The whole team, Master Ace, Chris, everybody on the team, they are incredible at the welcoming feeling. And so it's like there's two major things we're learning here. One is, wow, the blade is incredible in Kali. This is awesome. Stick and blade, it's what it's all about. There's empty hand stuff too that's like, oh wow, okay, the blade moves this way, and it teaches us how to move without a blade too. So there's awesome stuff going on there. But that whole just customer experience thing, wow, they've got it.
Yeah. So yeah, we started training with him, and it's been several years now. And
We're actually going there this weekend.
Yeah, we're headed there this weekend for his anniversary and birthday celebration. But we got promoted to Le Congro level 2 last December. So we're working our way up through that, and we've started to dabble in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu a little bit too. So it's just something that, we love it. That's why it's the lifestyle, right?
You guys are the martial arts junkies now, right? I mean, that's just what happens. The more you kind of go outside, ooh, I'll take that, ooh, I'll add that, ooh, I'll put this, right? So let's talk about how this has changed the dynamic of your school. You started out as a fairly, traditional school with a limited curriculum. Now you have, all of this stuff. So how do you balance it? How do you balance it in a systemized way?
It's very, very hard. Constantly evolving so it's never going to sit still. Our curriculum will never just be as it is.
Yeah, it's never done.
It's never ever done. So if any of our students are listening, be ready, because we're going to be constantly evolving what you're learning.
Yep, we review
based on what we learn. We review all the time.
Yep.
So what we have now for our kids programs, if you're 14 or younger, it's primarily Taekwondo for the base training, and then we do some weapon stuff as you expand on it.
Bring in Kali, of course. We have a lot of experience with that.
In our adult programs, we teach Kali separately right now. We also teach, it's basically our MMA program, because we're dabbling in so many other things that we're pulling all that stuff into our base curriculum for our adults too. So we're doing a little bit of everything in our adult system, right? Just ranking up through the system basically. And then there's Kali that's in there a little bit, but then Kali is also part of our upgrade and separate system as well. So it is a very challenging balance. It's not like a teeter-totter balance. It is a 3-dimensional balance.
Right.
It's very complex, and that's a huge part of my role. Actually, is curriculum. That's something that's I told you earlier. We're dividing and conquering. I take curriculum as part of my responsibility, so I'm constantly reevaluating curriculum and how can we provide a better experience through the curriculum on the mat. How can we make it so our instructors can be more creative and adapt it to what our students are needing at the time? How can we make sure the students are getting what they need in order to apply this in a self-defense scenario better, rather than focus on this because it's always been there? Maybe we can use that as a training tool and focus more on the application. There's just a lot that goes into it.
The biggest thing for me, the biggest thing for us that guides us is we want to make really good martial artists that it's easy for them to learn this stuff, because they're gonna they're gonna drill it, they're gonna get the reps out, they're not gonna collect. We have Tuhan Apollo, he likes to say we don't want to collect the dots, we want to connect the dots, and that you insert the word technique for dot, and that's where we're at. We're application. That's number
Huge
one for us.
application.
And just being able, like you said, having the flexibility for our instructors to be able to be creative and make that happen. And yeah, we want to make their experience great, and also they're learning a lot and working hard.
Well, so for me, for that first 10 years that I was talking about earlier, I did everything that we did because that's the way that it was always done. And I
Mhm.
just figured if you keep doing that, you just get better at it, right? But since then, I don't think that there has ever been a year that I didn't update or adjust our curriculum in one way or another. And on one hand, like that, first of all, that's not my typical personality. My typical personality is this is my routine. This is what I do. I stick with it. I stay with it. I'm consistent. Um, but I was noticing that my students weren't quite where I wanted them to be. But I was also starting to notice that my students weren't getting really what they wanted, right? I mean, so I always think that with our students, we have a responsibility to give them what they need,
Mm.
and I also think we have a responsibility to give them what they want,
Yes.
and balance that. Um, so I've looked at it, every year, and my students have just come to know that, like, if there's anything that is consistent now, is that things will not stay the same. Is that they
Yes.
will constantly
Yeah.
adjust because I'm always evaluating, and I think that's a huge part of our experience, right? I don't want to be just a cookie cutter, run of the mill, teach karate, go home, you're done, right? Like there's so much more to it than that. And so I'm always trying to make it, better and better and better for them because ultimately, I want them to stick around longer. I want them to get more out of it. I want them to take the lessons they learn in the school, apply them outside the school. I want it to affect their life, not just, while they're with me for 45 minutes and they go home, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
So there's a lot of adjusting that continues to be made. And you guys are a great example of the forever white belt mentality, right? Always willing to learn, always willing to learn from anyone else, right? Always ready to grow. I think that is a unique trait, to be quite honest, in the martial arts industry for the most part, because a lot of people just stick with what they know
Yeah.
and keep doing it because that's the way they've always done it.
And that's
So-
us. Yeah, we always ask why. That's gotten us into trouble sometimes in previous years, but it's always why. We're really big on the why with our students, with our staff. It's the why. You got to have a reason. You got to have a purpose for everything. So
It's an important question, right? It's definitely an
Mhm.
important question. So let's talk about traveling. You guys like to travel. You like to
Yeah.
get around. Where are some of the most fun places that you have traveled to?
This guy is a veteran traveler because his job that he had before.
Yeah, actually, my previous job
yeah.
that I quit to do this full time, that I
Mhm.
told you was a good job. It was heavy amounts of travel. I've actually been to 25 countries.
Wow.
It kept him away from me a lot, so
that was a hard
that
part of
factored
it.
into our decision a little bit.
Katie was able to join me some of the
Yeah.
time until our academy got busier.
Yeah, he's like, I can't go now.
Then
I
it's
gotta
like
stay
she
here.
can't go because our academy's too busy.
Mm-hmm.
But all over Asia. We actually spent several months living in China
Yes, that's right.
at one point. So yeah, been to some really interesting and unique places. Highlights, maybe should we go over some highlights or?
Well, now let me ask you this though. When you travel,
Mhm.
do you look for places to go train?
Yes.
Now we do because it's a lot of our travel is based around going to train
Training.
and
That's
and for
most of our travel
conferences.
now
So it's
is
like
training
that's
travel.
kind of the point of
Mhm.
travel these days,
But
which is wonderful. It's like I've got a pretty great job, so that's pretty cool. But yeah.
even before, like when I've been to Korea like
Yes.
6 times, and every time I went to the Kukiwan, the world headquarters of Taekwondo, and I went out there, and some of the times there was nobody there. It's just empty, but it was open. So I went in and I went down on the training floor and I trained.
Nice.
But other times, hey, there's this event or there's these grandmasters that are there training, and they let me on the mat and I trained with them, and it was kind of awesome. Been to a couple of classes in China. ran across just people doing different training in a park in China. Spent a lot of time in China and in Thailand. But yeah, just didn't get a ton. Would love to have done more while I was there. Obviously, it's never enough, but at least I've had the experience and explored a little bit of that. It was really cool.
Where would you like to go that you haven't been so far?
I have a big list.
Yeah, Philippines. I'd like to go to the Philippines.
I've been to the Philippines,
yeah,
but Katie didn't get to
I know
go
I
with me
missed
that
one,
time.
but I want to go to the Philippines specifically with our colleague group. They're
I want to
wanting
go
to.
with Tuhan.
Yeah, that would be pretty amazing. I want to go back to Thailand to be able to see that through more of a martial arts lens and, do some training. That would be amazing. And then just like, honestly, we've got some travel planned for next year, and I'm going to be hitting up some of our school owner friends, and I want to go train with them. These people that I've learned from in the business world, I want to go train with them because I look up to them so much, and I want to see how they do it. I want to train with them. I want to learn what I can and be with these people. Every time I go to these conferences, I'm always like so energized, and I love being around, you guys. I love being around our martial arts industry because they're just amazing people with amazing energy, and I want more of that. That's what I want to be doing on vacation, is because that's the greatest energy in the world to me.
So what's next for you guys, right? The martial arts school is running strong.
Yeah.
Are you guys looking to open multiple locations? Are you looking to grow this location? Are you looking to branch into other? We didn't even really talk about it, but you have created your own commercial property business, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So
our original building that our school was in up until last year was like this little 1,200 square foot thing. We had bought that building with the knowledge that we knew we were going to outgrow it, but it's this little downtown building. We wanted to keep it for being able to have it for rental income. So we've since leased that out to an art studio. So they teach skills there. It's just a different kind of skill now. So
it's a different art.
But so that's we've got that, and we've got our building that we have our school in now that we grew into, and it's a lot bigger. We needed the space really bad. So that's on the table for commercial property stuff. Not a huge priority right now. Biggest thing right now is growing our team. We have an amazing team that we're working to get empowered. And frankly, we want to get them ready so we can get out of their way and they can be empowered to do what they need to do. And we want to create more opportunities for them.
That's what's driving us is the opportunity for those guys.
Yes, we're really seeing ourselves more as, it's our job is to help our staff, help our team get what they need out of life and create opportunities for them. And that's been a really big push for us lately. So yes, to be clear, we want to open up further locations in the future. So we're working on getting our team going with that and empowered to be able to run our current school, grow our current school a little bit. It's, it's rocking and rolling pretty good. We're in a small town of about 10,000 people, and, we have a really good amount of students for that. And I'm very proud of how we've done there. And it's going to be time to go and impact other communities in our area as well.
Good.
Huge shout out to our team, because those guys are making it happen.
Yes, they're amazing.
They're running classes right now, and they're incredible people who thrive on helping people grow. It's just, they're wonderful people. We're really lucky to have them as our team. And that's why we are so driven to create new opportunities for them.
Well, good for you guys, because that starts at the top. So if they're thriving and they're excelling, it's because you've given them that opportunity and you've provided them with, the skills, the opportunity, so that comes from you guys. So congratulations and keep it up. So guys, I don't know if you realize it, but it's already been an hour. It's gone super fast. So we're at the end of our time today. I just want to thank you both for being here and sharing your story and providing a little bit of inspiration and motivation to those watching. Again, whether you're in the martial arts industry or you're just starting your own business, what is your advice? If you had one piece of advice to anybody watching, whether they're a school owner, wanting to start a business, or just kind of taking that next step in life, any advice?
You go first.
For me, it's believe that you can make anything happen, and also just get people that know what they're doing. Ask people for help and make your systems. Even though you might have it all in your head to start with, you're going to grow because you're going to believe in yourself and you're going to be great at what you do. And you're going to have more and more people that want your service or your product. So you're going to need to systemize it. So be ready and get it done ahead of time. So you're not caught, unaware and trying to do that, scrambling to do that. So yeah, systems, believe in yourself, and get that moving. So definitely.
For me, if you're going to attack something like this, it's probably going to be, if not the hardest, at least one of the hardest things you will ever do. It will also be one of the most rewarding things you will ever do. And it will require grit and more grit and more grit. And you'll have to fight through it, and it's worth it. And definitely the greatest fighters on the planet, the most successful fighters on the planet, the best marathon runners, the best athletes, the best anybody at anything, it's because they have great coaches. Get a coach that's really great, and it'll help you get there.
Great advice, guys. Well, thanks again. Thanks for being on the show. Thanks for everything. I'm glad we could catch up again, and I look forward to catching up with you guys soon. So for now, I wish everybody a great week. Look forward to some more interviews coming up on Master of Motivation podcast on YouTube. So please go and subscribe, and feel free to share this video as well. I'll be sending you guys a link of this so you can share it with your families as well. All right, guys, that's it for now.
Thank you, sir.
We'll see you next time. Take care.